Hey, launch techers. I just came up with that. Not sure if you like it or not, but maybe it'll stick. So one of the questions I've been getting asked a lot is, where do I start? So I want to have an online business and I know I need to have an online presence, but I just don't know where I should start. Now keep in mind that many times I have said you don't actually need a website to get your online business started. As a matter of fact, I don't recommend that you start with a website. And the reason is that too many people just get completely bogged down in the website being absolutely perfect. So to start, you need, say it along with me, you need a email service provider, something like Aweber or GetResponse. You need a landing page, which you can do with a program like Lead Pages. You need an opt-in form. And with those three things and a free giveaway, you'll be able to start adding people to your list. And that's what you really want to do, because if you don't have a list, you don't have customers. But let's say you've got all those things in place and you're ready to take it to the next step. Or maybe you just don't believe me and you feel like you need a web presence to be an online business. Either way, let me explain to you the difference between some of the different types of sites that are out there and the way to choose the one that's right for you. One of the ways that many online businesses start is as a blog. So maybe you have been writing about something that was a hobby of yours and you've been doing that for a while and you've gained kind of a following, and now you want to sort of take it to the next level and you're wondering how to do that. So what you're going to want to do is go from a blog site to a website. Now let me explain the difference there. The word blog was started, I think in the mid-90s, maybe early 90s, and it originally started out as a shortening of two words, weblog. And what a weblog, or a blog, usually is a piece of content that is updated on a regular basis. So it might be that every day or a couple times a week or maybe once a month, you are writing about something that's of interest to you. Maybe you really like knitting, and so you just started writing daily about the patterns that you like to use or the types of yarn that you found, or maybe a really cool out of the way yarn shop. And so all you were doing was just writing it down for your friends, writing it down for other people on the internet, but gradually you gained traction and now you want to take it to the next level. Maybe you want to start selling your patterns or selling an ebook that talks about the ways to dye a certain kind of wool or yarn or whatever. I don't even knit. But you get the idea. So that's what a blog is. It's something that is constantly updated on a regular basis. Now, a website is something that's more static and permanent. Think of Target.com or BedBathAndBeyond.com. Those are retail sites, but you kind of get the idea. It's something where you can go there and you can maybe shop, maybe you can watch a video, or you can listen to a podcast. Maybe you can look at really awesome photos. There might be a shopping cart, and there might be a blog on the website, a spot where whoever owns the website is making constant updates. Maybe if it's, the stock market, you're talking about what you're thinking the next big trend is going to be. Or if you're a knitter, you're talking about the newest colors for the year, and that's continuously updated. That blog lives on a website in many cases, not always. So if you're starting out and you're just blogging, it's really common for people to go with something that's free, because free is great, right? Especially if you're just doing something for fun. So you might choose a site like Weebly.com or Blogspot or Blogger.com, or there's a bunch of different free blog sites out there. What you will notice with those blog sites is that in most cases, in the URL that is typed at the top of the screen, you will have the word of that site as part of your URL. So it might be blogspot.tracieshroyer.com or Weebly.tracieshroyer.com or however it works. I don't actually know that those are how those particular sites work, but you get the idea. The difference is if you have a website and it is, so those sites where the blog name is part of the URL, those are hosted by Blogspot, by Weebly, or in some cases by Wordpress.com. So you don't host them yourself, so you also don't have much control over, you have control over the content, but you aren't doing the hosting. If you have a site that is TracieShroyer.com or Target.com, the site is being hosted by either me for Tracie Shroyer or Target if it's for Target. You have a little more control that way, and you also have more flexibility with what you want to do with the site. Okay, so that's the difference between self-hosted sites and the blog sites that you normally will run across that are free. Now, there isn't necessarily a charge to host your own site, but there is a little bit more of a learning curve. You may need to get some help involved. And for some of you, that's going to seem really, really overwhelming. But here's the thing. It is much easier in this particular case to start out with your end game in mind. Now, I don't always suggest this. I don't always suggest going with the biggest and the baddest first. I usually suggest starting out small and growing into what you need. This would be the one exception. For all websites that you are starting, I only suggest WordPress.org. Now, WordPress.org is a self-hosted WordPress site that will allow you all the cool bells and whistles that you will probably need as your business grows. Plugins that allow you to do, plugins are really neat components that allow you to add shopping carts, podcast players, video players. You can host your freebie giveaways right on your site. And WordPress is sort of the Mac Daddy for that in terms of it has the most in terms of plugins and cool features and people who can kind of help you out. Now, there are definitely some pitfalls to using WordPress. It is very, very popular, which not only means that there are a lot of options for being able to do the different things with your site that you enjoy or that you want to do, but it also means that there are probably a lot of different plugins out there that aren't necessarily right for you, or maybe were not developed in a really secure manner. So you do need to be a little careful, and I will be doing tutorials on how to avoid the pitfalls of those types of things in the future. So just make sure that you're following me so that you don't miss out on that. The reason I say that you should choose WordPress.org versus WordPress.com is because if you're going to be building your site up and you're going to be adding components to it, in the long run, it is most likely going to be cheaper and easier for you if you just start with WordPress.org to start. Now, I will be doing future tutorials on WordPress.com versus WordPress.org. I will do future tutorials on WordPress in general and building your sites. But if you have any questions, please just put them right below this video. In addition, if where you're stuck right now is still trying to figure out your email service provider, like, Aweber or Constant Contact or MailChimp or whatever it might be, Infusionsoft, I have a guide for you, and I'll put the link right below this video. It compares the big players in the email service provider market, and it not necessarily the big players in terms of the most expensive players, but the ones that are going to be best for growing an online business. Now, you will notice if you open this guide, there are some that you've heard of that I don't include, and that's because I don't recommend them. So you're going to want to opt in right below this and get that free email service provider guide and get your email client set up so you can start building your business. That's where all the fun starts. If you have any questions, pop them right below this video and I'll be sure to get to them just as soon as I can. Thanks. Bye-bye.